Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 383 of GI Joburg. My name is Steve. I'm joined by my best buds in the biz. It's Paul
What's up, everybody? And hey, Steve. Who else
and
is here?
Rob.
Hello, welcome.
Hello,
And
Rob.
we are recording on the back of JoeFest 2025. It is
Ooh.
Yojo June. We're on the precipice of the HasLab announcement, but we weren't going to delay this podcast any longer. We're here. We're talking about things. And the thing that is perhaps most exciting for the three of us anyway has got to be Super 7's O-ring line. That kind of
Oh, definitely.
is going to be
Yeah.
filling holes in our collection. And so we decided to dedicate this general chat most specifically to their latest wave of G.I. Joe the movie-inspired figures, consisting of Falcon
Oh, Falcon.
in movie-accurate colors, Jinx unmasked, the
Ooh.
Royal Guard,
Ooh.
and the entertainment exclusive.
The man.
There you go. Which, unfortunately, I learned was an Entertainment Earth exclusive. You can't get all four in the same place.
Well, unless you order all four of them from Entertainment Earth, I guess.
As the words came out of my mouth, I knew I was making that faux pas. But yes, I suppose it is driving traffic that way. Damn.
But yeah, it forces you to go there.
Oh, you were right the first time.
One
Yeah.
place to get.
But gents, catch me up. It's been JoeFest. Well, catch me up in the future because I'll listen to it after I've quieted a crying baby. But
Aw.
yeah, chew the air for the listener's sake on my behalf, and I'll be right back.
Sweet.
So,
Rob, yeah. Look at us being excited. Eh?
Wow.
Okay, you go first. You go first.
All right. No, I was gonna say, how did you find your experience of JoeFest? I
Well-
watched. Yeah.
Whose videos did you watch? That's what I was going to say. Because my experience for JoeFest was through the
Uh-huh.
eyes of a punk with toys. It was
Uh-huh.
through Joe and Joe.
Mhm.
And it was through some other dude because my video auto-played and I don't know who he is, but he actually had a pretty cool video as well.
Did it have like cool music in it? It was just music.
It was just music. Yeah, it was mostly
And it was
music.
short. It was about 10 minutes. He had like
Yeah.
2 videos. That was
Yeah.
probably Ashley Wilbanks. That's the main guy I watched. He had
Oh,
stuff
okay, cool.
for the first day and he had stuff for the second day. It was just him. He introduced it. He was like, I'm walking through JoeFest. And his videos were very good because he kind of had lots of nice close-ups on the products that the people were
Yes.
showing, which I quite enjoyed. And then, yeah, I also watched Talking Joe. They're kind of very fast walkthrough. They're like
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, it was fast. It's like whoa, 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 whoa. You know.
No, but you need to get the sense of like the entire area. And what I enjoyed was it's so cool to see a convention that is basically it's 99.9% exclusively GI Joe. Like yes, there's other toys there, but like basically Joe and basically all toy. You got some comics places there, which I thought was cool. I would have loved going through all those boxes. But yeah, it's just so much GI Joe and so much toys. Like it just I don't know. I actually, as I was watching Talking Joe's one, because he went a little bit slower and you can kind of get the general idea of stuff.
Yeah.
I felt very emotional. Like I was like, oh, I really wish I could be there, and kind of like walk through the halls and kind of, just like search through the toys because we had our Joe Con experience.
Yeah.
But even there, like I feel like I didn't look as much as I would have wanted to.
Yeah.
I think I was
true.
just sticking with you guys most of the time, and I think near the end as well, I was a bit sick, so I kind of missed. I think the last day or so.
Yeah.
So it was very emotional, kind of just looking through that. And also another person whose eyes I got to see JoeFest through was our dear friend Hans Chow. He managed to attend again this year. I got to see a lot of his pictures on Instagram.
Yes, I was gonna say as well. Same thing here.
He got so much cool stuff, by the way. Like
He's
it's
got a lot of cool
amazing.
shit.
He's got like a little gallery of like 12 pictures of all the incredible cool stuff that he managed to get there. So wow. So yeah, very emotional. I was just like, oh, I wish I could be there. It looks like such a great time.
So
And they've got a little sort of partition for podcasters now.
Yes,
Podcast
yeah.
alley.
I saw the start of Talking Joe's one. Like he kind of like walks past all the podcasts. He's like, "Hey, those guys," and who are these guys? Oof, they're not even here. You know, talking about.
So yeah, that was a thing for me that was pretty cool, was to like see Gary V with his Chaplin's Motorpod. Like that was awesome to see that. It was cool to see the
Yeah,
Talking
was
Joe's
it Joe and
band.
Joe? I think was there as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just so cool. They even have like a cool cosplay area inside the hall as well, so people who dress up.
Yeah, for the finest.
The stuff
Yeah.
fixed and all of that. Yeah, it looked absolutely awesome. And also, if you're watching Talking Joe's video, you even got to see HCC 788.
Yes, he kind of walks past, and Brian kind of looks at him like, "Who the hell are
I'm
you?"
not here, guys.
I'm out, but I'm back in.
Yeah.
I'll
And
never
that was
be
after,
out.
I think I got some chatter that he said he wasn't going to make it, and then somehow he was in the area and he could pull through. So he did.
That's
eventually
good.
make it. Awesome.
So it was cool to kind of see him for a moment. To
Yeah,
know
my
that
thing
he's
is,
still out there.
like, for me, it was also kind of an emotional thing as well. I mean, I found myself doing that whole. I mean, Celia was with me, and I was watching it on my TV. I was watching it in the lounge, and she was with me, and it was kind of like cool because I could be like, oh, it's that person, and oh, it's these toys, and oh, it's this place, and oh, we've bought Joe's from that vendor before, and like that all came like rushing back to me, and so I did feel like we were missing. If that makes sense.
And also,
Like
Paul, but you showed me that Facebook was suggesting memories that you had posted back in 2018 around this exact
no way.
weekend.
Yeah.
And I had the same experience. Like,
Wow.
JoeCon stuff popping up in my Facebook feed. Whoa.
It was madness.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, something that I want to mention, like, you know, Rob, you mentioned now, like, it's 99.9% GI Joe and action figures, but like, god damn it, like, fucking Pokemon, there's at least one Pokemon dude there. Fucking Pokemon, like, it drives me
Something for
crazy,
everyone.
dude. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm glad it's there, and there's like Pokemon fans everywhere. So I'm glad it's there for them, because it's actually, and I want to mention this because I think it's kind of a clever thing. You know, if you think about, like, there are a lot of guys our age that are into things like Pokemon, for example, but that's not why that stand is there. That stand is there because when you're going there with your kids and your kids are mad into Pokemon, at least there's something fun at the event for them. And I think there's,
for sure.
and that's something I got to like commend this show on, because I do a lot of conventions here locally, as does Rob, and a lot of, for me, my measurement of a convention's awesomeness is by the quality of the toys they have. Now in South Africa, let's be very honest, it's generally like non-existent. Okay, there's very few toys at these conventions for South Africans when they do stuff. So I always like to see, like, what's the spectrum that they try to create? How do they try to cater for different people, and who are the people that they're thinking of? And so when you see something like JoeFest, and you see how many like places cater for obviously the hardcore GI Joe fan, and then also the GI Joe fan who buys things like Transformers, who buys things like Motu, or, you know, there's all the sort of peripheral stuff,
Star Wars figures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a nice selection of stuff. It's Joe's, but it also gives stuff for other people as well. I think I was watching a podcast, and they were talking about how they, like, some of the cons didn't happen this year. So a lot of the guys, they kind of want to show off their new products. You know, the indie toy makers, they kind of came to JoeFest instead of going to some other ones. So kind of it increased the variety of stuff that you're able to see at this convention. But Stephen, who did you watch? Who did you see JoeFest?
Well, big ups to my main man, Mark Seddon. His walkthrough was quite brisk. The Talking Joe one, which featured a little bit of Brian Lower, a little bit of everyone. You know, you kind of got whiplash with the quick pans, but you got a good idea of how much variety there was there. Paul and I were talking about this offline. Yes, there was a lot of GI Joe merch and, you know, retro stuff and classified stuff, but that almost wasn't the star of the show, because, you know, we're sitting on reasonable collections ourselves. Like, yes, it's cool to find a hard to find piece to complete something, but for the most part, we're out of that game. And the most intriguing thing that catches our eyes are like the depth of indie producers. Like, we just know the maybe the top 5 names, like Operation Recall, like Callsign Longbow, like Skeletron, like Delta 17, like Legends of the Hidden Force. But like just beneath those front runners are other guys doing incredible work. Lady J Toys, who's just producing Jinxes and other female figures, but at a high quality. And then that's not to speak about the Dio creators who are
Yeah, it's
creating
wild.
sets for you to purchase, either bespoke custom sets or like set pieces that you can use to construct your own
Yeah, like
bases.
modular stuff. I think that was the one that I saw was, I think they're called Reconnect. It was their first
Yes.
year at
And I'm
JoeFest.
very interested in this.
Very cool. Apparently all 3D printed. It's all modular. It connects together using magnets. And it's very cool. And a lot of stuff that looks very reminiscent of like GI Joe. Like you get this very cool like facade of, I think, like very much a cartoon GI Joe base. You get kind of like laser turrets and a bunch of other things. And it's cool that they're modular. That you can kind of like piece the things together in hopefully your own way and build
As dear as this hobby is to my heart, I feel like I've been living under a rock when I see all the stuff that's presented at a JoeFest. I'm like, this goes deep, bro. People are producing amazing work, and I'm only just getting acquainted with it.
Yeah, and it's
But
all over the place as well. You know, it's O-ring stuff. It's 1 to 12 stuff. It's also like modern era type stuff as well.
Yeah, modern era type of
It's
construction.
toys like for everyone. It's like if you collect classified, here's indie stuff for you. I think Operation Monster Force by Chicken Fried Toys.
Chicken Fried Toys.
I think they have figures in O-ring size, but they also have them in whatever classified size as well.
While you're on the Monster Force, quickly, sorry, Rob. What did you see there that caught your eye specifically from the Monster Force stuff?
What was it? Wasn't there like a cool dude with like a weird head? I thought that was kind of cool.
Like a bubble head kind of thing.
Yes, I thought that was really cool. That looked reminding me of Hellboy.
I had a feeling you'd like him. Yeah.
Yeah. Made me think a little bit of Hellboy. I think there's a character in Hellboy that kind of looks similar to that.
Yeah, I love the, like, I'm going to be brutally honest here, and I'm sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings.
I know.
The Monster Force stuff, the soldiers, I could give less than a shit about. And I'm sorry, it's not because I don't think they're good. I'm just so tired of army men toys, okay? Not G.I. Joe. That's a different thing.
Okay.
I'm so tired of, like, a tacked up, kind of tactical looking guy with these guns and military helmet. There's a market for that. That market is huge. People love that. Power to you. Awesome. But the bad guys in that line, like those very sort of Lovecraftian style villains that they've created for that line, are so sweet, and they really like show the creativity of that company.
Yeah, that's what draws
brand.
you in, I think, you know, is their villains. I think I suppose they kind of produce the good guys to be fairly generic, but then they kind of really go out on the bad guys. Something I saw only in some pictures I think Hans Charles shared was kind of like Dino Rider inspired stuff.
Yes, thank you. I was going to say that they're called Cyberzoic. Yes.
And also
I've been sitting on that.
Just the dinosaurs on their own, but I think Cyberzoic is heavily inspired by Dino Riders.
Oh,
very
like
cool
even to the colors, man. Like using the grays and the
like
purples,
silver,
and
stuff. And the blue for the good guys, I think.
Yeah, they basically have Rulons, and I don't know what the good guys are called in that show. I can never remember.
Dino Riders?
Jump in and tell us what the good guys. I suppose they are called the Dino Riders.
Probably just called Dino Riders.
No, I couldn't tell you. Sorry.
The Orons. I swear it's something that starts with an A.
It's something like that, but that definitely grabbed my attention. And I think Marauder and Skeletron are also doing a line of dino-based kind of figures. Which
yes, I did see that. Yeah, Marauders. Yeah, and they had this beautiful display set up, I think, behind their stand, where you could kind of see like the dinosaurs and the figures kind of like fighting each other. Very creative,
very cool stuff. I love that. Like,
and I think the big bespoke pieces you were talking about, Steven, I think those Vasco toys. They did dioramas, which felt very in line with like cartoons from the 90s. You kind of had like building facades. I suppose like street displays
and
as well.
And a command room as well.
Very nice with yeah, it was one of them as well. Incredible variety. Like,
Well,
So
we
so
can't
much cool.
possibly speak to the depth of everything in this modest podcast, hour and some
Absolutely.
change. So let's focus in on, I suppose, the official toy news, which really is near and dear to our hearts. And any excuse to watch GI Joe the movie is a good one in my book. Super
Hell yeah, let's
7,
do it, guys.
whether you love them or hate them, it's always interesting to see what they're up to.
Yeah.
Mm.
What
These
did they
pics are
choose to
courtesy.
do next?
Exactly. What these it's on everyone's lips. These pictures are courtesy of John McNewman, shared by Full Force on Facebook, and they're side by side comparisons with this movie wave of Super 7 Reaction O-ring plus figures next to their vintage counterparts. We've got Falcon, we got
Wow.
Jinx,
Yeah.
Ooh.
we've got Once a Man Cobra Commanders, kind of, I suppose, Genesis from the is it the 2011? No, what am I saying? The Hasbro Retro O-ring remake of
Mm.
Mirror Face Cobra Commander, then the Super 7 sort of winter Cobra Commander in his like tunic, and then Super 7's Once a Man. And then finally the Royal Guard next to his Cobra-La 3-pack original Hasbro presentation.
Such class.
Wow.
That's why. Both of them,
So
actually.
of this 4-figure wave, what do you guys think? I don't think we've spoken about this on air yet.
Yeah, we haven't given it an official brush.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm the Super 7 fanboy here, so I want to kind of leave my thoughts for last. Rob,
Whoa.
I'd like to get your thoughts on this first, man.
Wow. I think they're all great. They're great figures. Probably what Centurion Guard, he probably stands out as being very interesting and different. I like that we're kind of getting a figure that's totally not something we've ever had before. I mean, yes, okay, we have kind of had it before. You know, he's staying next
Kind
to
of.
his original version.
Yeah.
But this is way more accurate to what he looked like in the cartoons. So we haven't had an
Yeah.
accurate version of him before. I think the Falcon looks really good. I like his colors from the film. And like an unmasked Jinx, that has to be a first in GI Joe O-ring history. Like,
Yeah.
it's beautiful
Yeah.
to see her unmasked in 3 3/4 inch. So I think maybe we have they done that maybe in classified?
Yes,
not?
yeah. Beautiful
they
head
have
sculpt
done
in
it.
classified.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
if you're a Jinx fan, you've been having to make do with sort of custom attempts at getting an unmasked head. I'll tell you
Mm.
what the first thing I thought of when I saw this figure was finally Jinx is now a lead character. She always has been in my books, but with an unmasked head, you can finally play her in sequences that aren't just all business. Like a
Mm.
ninja that's completely, balaclavaed up or hooded up, it is always going to be sneaking around. Like now,
Mm.
Jinx can actually have scenes on the base or in training. I mean, she's
Yeah, she
depicted.
can have conversations and like actually be affecting the I suppose like
The narrative.
talking and the narrative instead of just being the action.
That they did miss a step by not including just a little plastic. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying
Scrap,
when you were
scrap of
talking.
fabric.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we needed her to be blindfolded at this point because she's got the training staff with the I suppose the two like cushion ends. What do you even
That they
call that?
stole from American Gladiators. I have no idea what those are actually called. It's probably
Those
it's like
artificial kung fu
in
weapons.
in
Pugil
America they
sticks?
used to be cudgels, I suppose. Yeah, like
Mm.
in American
Pugil.
Gladiator they. Well, I know it is cudgel.
All right,
and
okay.
people I know who use those things
Pugil.
call them cudgels too. So,
So there are words
but
for those things.
but I know it in American Gladiator as a jousting staff, if I remember correctly. And
But there
so,
it was like it was more of a staff more than like a
Yeah.
two thing.
which she broke
I
in
do remember
half, she like snaps and goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like how her stature kind of matches her vintage figure, but more than that, I like how the stature of the Royal Guard is slightly lanker, like leaner and
Yeah.
taller.
Yeah. It's a little bit more imposing.
Because they were quite a bit taller than the standard guys. And that gets us, I suppose, onto an interesting topic. Like, what kind of buck is Super 7 using? Because they're able to kind of stretch their figures I mean, not necessarily just Ramar and the Fatal Fluffy. Those were obviously completely different molds. But like this guy has got a taller stature than even the other Super 7 O-ring figures. So it seems like they're able to do slightly lankier figures. And maybe that will figure into our discussion because we are going to shift focus and do
Hopefully,
some.
after I've had my thoughts, that would be
Oh,
nice.
gosh. Oh,
Thank you.
I'm trying to move the agenda. But yes, okay, let's do it.
Like, apparently, we're trying to catch a train, but
We are.
we are. So in this line, I'm very, very impressed with this line because I feel like a movie, a Joe line for the movie is something that we've like kind of needed and we haven't really ever got. We've kind of got it sort of, but not really, not presented in the way that Super 7 has. So again, this is exactly why, we want Super 7 to do the Reaction Plus stuff because they're thinking in this direction. And this came out of nowhere. There's no anniversary for the movie happening like now or anything like that. This just kind of like arrived. Like they were like, yep, we're gonna do this. And I'm especially happy with the Royal Guard because I love the vintage version very much. It's one of my like favorite Joes. I think it's got one of the best sculpts ever. But I love that the accuracy, the screen accuracy of the Royal Guard. And yes, having a maskless Jinx is fantastic because for everything that Steven said, you got an actual character that can speak, which is amazing. Yes, it would be nice if she came with some kind of a blindfold piece. But then again, I feel like, we are toy people and we know how to play with our toys. And I'm sure that we will be industrious and figure out our own blindfold solutions. And it'll be interesting to see if they release Jinx with a mask on, a masked version or something with weapons. That would be interesting to see. But also, again, not something we desperately need because the vintage exists. So, pretty cool of them. Also, like the animation style, the skin tones. The Once a Man Cobra Commander is, I think, outstanding. And I'm gonna sound like I'm defending Super 7 here. There is another group. There's an independent that has made a Once a Man Cobra Commander, which I think does look very good. And I have seen some people comparing the Super 7 version to that version. And to that I say, you've got the power. You can buy whichever one you think is cool. I appreciate the route that Super 7 went with this. The slightly bigger head suits the animation because he does have a weird kind of head in the animation. They did kind of try to keep him as cell accurate as possible. And also, people, we must not forget that toys work really well when they're goofy. As soon as they get a bit too cool, they lose an edge. And maybe I'm just speaking from my own perspective, but this is why I don't necessarily care for these super accurate military figures that have been coming out. And if you do, again, that's cool. It's nothing like, I'm not like trying to like shame you or anything. But again, I love the goofiness of the O-ring stuff that's coming from Super 7. They're sort of getting the right kind of balance there, I feel. And then lastly, we fall onto Falcon, who desperately needed a cartoon accurate version. It's funny how we've gotten Falcon in so many versions and they've danced around this colorway like repeatedly. We like it's just like we've got a Slaughter's Marauders Falcon, but we don't have a movie one. Like, and I think that's really crazy. Like, I keep thinking that somewhere there's a 25th anniversary that's kind of close to it, but maybe I'm just imagining things. But the blue eyes on him, that is a win for me. I love that he's got the blue eyes because that was kind of a feature of him in the animation series. I thought that was clever. And yeah, just wanted to put that out there. Cool. Now Steve wants us to talk about, and he's going to tell us now because I interrupted him.
No. I'm glad you got those thoughts out there. Yeah, interesting points about the Once a Man Cobra Commander. I hadn't wanted to address that, but yeah, a sort of boutique custom is amazing. And if you did manage to scoop up, I think it's Matt LaCroix's version of Once a Man,
Beautiful toy.
then it is amazing. It is amazing. It's too amazing to really hold company with your O-ring figures. It's kind of on its own pedestal, I'd say.
Yeah.
Whereas Super 7 is fitting that toyetic aesthetic. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like customs are beautiful, but like a toy, I think it does encourage you to be more laissez-faire with playing with them. Like you do feel more
Parlez-vous français?
comfortable with saying it. Well, with the custom, I think absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the levels of detail you can go to with the custom is amazing. But I would feel awful to play with that and like scuff the incredible work that an artist or a sculptor has put into that.
Mm.
And watching GI Joe the movie last night, I think Falcon's hat, his beret, is miscolored on Super 7's version. It's
Oh,
it's a sort of a mid green on their
Mm.
version, whereas in the animation, it's still like a forest green. It's still the same green tone as his original figures.
Well, it's
So
green. It's meant to be a green beret. Yeah.
yeah,
maybe
they
they're
might,
going off prototype pictures from the movie, or
or maybe they're just
maybe
cutting
their
costs by not
version.
having. Well, no, it's the same green as his neckerchief on the Super 7 version, which tells me that
Fair
like
enough.
they just didn't want to spring for an extra paint hit, extra
Well,
color.
Or if
considering, I mean, the original also has that same thing going on there too.
you're
Oof.
me and I was in
Mm.
the art director's seat on this, I would have made the same decisions they did, because that
Mm.
dark green on that burgundy kind of brown is going to be too obnoxious. It's going to
Yeah,
draw way too
it's
much
too
attention.
close to each other.
And I
on the
feel this
color.
is much closer in value to the rest of the outfit. It was an
Mm.
artistic license that I'm glad they took.
Nice
Because we also
shotgun
have the
that they've
benefits of
tooled
real
up.
light.
I
Yes,
do like
Gorgeous
the
shotgun.
included accessories. And
they're gonna
they've
shoot Falcon.
Showtime. All right, let's get away from what they've made and let's get on to what we potentially envision being the next four figures. Like
Oh my
presume, like they like to jump around, it seems. But if
Mm.
there was an imaginary next four Cobra-La or Cobra the movie inspired figures, what would
Mm.
they be? Now we knocked out number one very quickly because it would be unanimous and would make for perhaps boring radio. But, gents, Pythona, we've
Yes.
long wanted this figure, and
Absolutely. My
all three
goodness.
of us, and perhaps every fan of GI Joe the movie, is begging Super 7 to do that next. It's a no-brainer. If they don't,
Yeah.
wow, Mr. Trick. That would tell me something really nefarious is afoot. Like no one's allowed to officially produce Pythona figures.
Which is insane because yes, she was featured in the movie. It's gorgeous design. But also she's becoming a lot bigger in the comic books now. Within the Energon
yes.
universe, she is very well featured, I believe, in the Void Rivals comic series now. So she's becoming even bigger and bigger over time, and it's like the fact that we don't have a figure of her is just it's a crime. It's a crime against toy collecting.
May I add some croutons to that soup of speculation there, Steve? If there is some kind of mandate within Hasbro regarding Pythona, it comes from this. Now, I am friends with an artist. I'm not going to name him here because I don't want to get him into trouble. And he did a Baroness cover a while ago, and it was very cool. And it was not overtly sexual. It was pretty much like every other Baroness cover, but she did have a little too much booty on the cover. And Hasbro actually asked him, never mind like to do a small change or anything, literally asked him to change the pose, literally asked him to turn her around, you know?
Ooh, so like a techno-organic, completely organic, essentially like nude chick.
Nude chick. Yeah, as a toy.
Well, the Collectors Club did one, didn't they?
They did,
the
but they're
modern
also
style.
kind of adjacent, you know? It's like, I don't think Hasbro would have minded so much, you know? It wasn't like a big coverage thing for them. So I feel like yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, that's why I'm saying I'm throwing croutons into the speculation soup or the super speculation, because like Hasbro is obviously they're very careful with all of their brands, and they obviously want to be very careful with over-sexualizing their brands and over-sexualizing their characters, because, you know, they have to be now all of a sudden. So that's the thing. So that it's possible that has affected Pythona. That said,
her
Brian Flynn could
unitard
be listening.
is not necessarily her skin. It's given that organic look, and everything in Cobra-La is organic, so presumably she's wearing something living.
There's something going on there.
But her bits are covered up.
Yeah,
quite
and
conservatively, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are right, Stephen. They did do in 2016. The Collectors Club did a Pythona.
For everyone screaming at their radios when we were like, they haven't touched this character. But yeah, I'd be curious to see like when, if ever, Classified are going to do her and Super 7 are going to do her. Will it actually line up? Like,
Yeah.
just
So-
like with Cold Slither Zartan.
So that's the other thing. I think that's the other side of it. If we take the speculation and the conspiracy theory out of it, I think there might be a rollout plan for that. Because, yeah, like you said, we got Cold Slither Zartan, and now we've got a whole Cold Slither event happening with Classified. They got a band and the whole shebang going on. They're trying to make it way cooler than it should be, but anyway, whatever's. And they're doing that.
Cool.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see like some kind of Pythona and Globulus kind of convention exclusive thing that's going to happen. And then it'll be timed with Super 7 doing Pythona and maybe Nemesis Enforcer or whatever he's called now.
Nemesis
Immortal.
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 So so basically, guys, if you haven't caught the gist of it, all of us obviously chose Pythona, so we just kept it off our lists because we like
it's number one.
It's gonna happen,
100%.
Yeah.
But we have 3 others that we all very interested to see produced from the GI Joe movie.
And I'm super curious to hear about Steven's thoughts on that.
Well,
I wanna hear
let me
Steven's
fire
take
mine off.
first.
I'll fire mine off quickly because I feel like my kids might interrupt me later
That's
on.
exactly why you're going first.
Thanks, buddy. So, this isn't really one of my 3, but Royal Guards are pictured with the kind of the splat guns toward the end of the film. I think Super 7 missed a trick. I know that like maybe additional accessories they couldn't spring for, like the tooling cost, but like I would really love Cobra-La characters to come with this standard weapon. It fires that kind of tentacle embryo that sort of expands when it leaves the barrel, when it hits its target and kind of smothers it. Can bring down tomahawks. It can bring down Cobra swamp fires.
Shot down by salad.
There you go. Thanks for the quote. So yes, so if they do one of my picks, I hope we get this accessory. What is that pick?
That would be great.
I want Citizens of Cobra-La.
Ooh.
I need Citizens of Cobra-La if I'm going to build out this as a faction. Even in the movie, they are relegated to cameos and like filler. They're just extras in the frame. We never get a sort of named citizen character, and that's why the world feels so small. You've got all these freaks, these crazy like monsters that inhabit Cobra-La, but we never get a sense of the citizenry. They're always just kind of cowering or running or standing in a crowd. And the movie is a brisk 89 minutes, so there's no ways they could spring for Falcon and his crew and the Renegades and Slaughter and all the Joes and all the Cobras and the Dreadnoks. Like, the film is mercenary as it is. So there's no ways they could have focused in on these guys, but they've all got a story and they have an interesting look. It'd be nice if you could get some variety, but like the look that I've settled on would be these pilot guys that fly the what would you call it? It's a giant tick or squiddy thing. The Cobra-La Air Force, basically, the Cobra-La like transport ship creature. Anyway, they have got these high collars, these very organic, like musculature, like I don't know, armor, bodice. Their legs have texture. Everything's cool, but they've got that pallid complexion that matches Pythona. So all of a sudden, she looks more like a citizen. Because you look at Globulus, and he's got a regular skin tone, and he's his own thing. And you look at Nemesis Enforcer, and he's got a regular skin tone, and he's also his own thing. But these guys are the same race as Pythona, and they make her less of a unicorn. Like she's one of them.
That is
they're an important complementary piece. And then speaking of Nemesis Enforcer, his OG is lackluster in my eyes. Sorry if you're a fan, but I need one. I need one that approaches the
Apology
stature
accepted,
of
Steve.
Well, he needs to have the stature of the Fatal Fluffies. He's
agree.
a full head taller than a standard figure. So that Ramar buck You change that somehow. You give him better wings. The original figure had like a backpack plug-in set of wings, and they were pitiful. Like their wingspan was not up to snuff. So if they were able to really do this figure justice, this character justice, as they should, getting him in O-ring form with some actual wingspan would be incredible. There's a lot of room to produce a cartoon accurate Nemesis Enforcer.
I agree.
And finally, this is kind of I'm just picking this as my third and final choice because I don't know if you guys would have picked them out, but we get a lot of great winter looks in this, and you could effectively fill 4 waves with GI Joe and Cobra winterized looks of just like the main players, and they each are unique and very good. But what
Who are you gonna choose? Dusty.
I'm gonna choose I'm gonna choose the Vipers, buddy. This is such a great look for a Viper because it feels like kind of intermediate snow troop. Like if you've got your Vipers in a snow setting, they're not going to be short sleeved. They're going to have these fur lined collars. They're going to be dressed entirely in blue. The GI Joe the movie does such a handsome job of dressing up characters in winterized looks, and I'd say the Viper's the strongest of the lot because you've got a troop builder. You don't want to necessarily always be using snow serpents. I think having a Viper in this winterized look is so key at just filling in the middle of your Cobra units. And then honorable mention, these technician dudes in the Terradrome that Pythona assault. They get gassed, but they're wearing they're wearing hats, like peaked caps. They're in blue coveralls, like overalls. They got like pens sticking out of their jackets. Like they are absolutely like the Cobra motor pool. Because you don't want to have your helmeted wearing blue shirts fixing your vehicles. And in the Sunbow era of GI Joe, you don't necessarily want something as freaky as a Techno Viper. Like they feel like a later world of GI Joe where you had Toxo Vipers, Night Vipers, Heat Vipers, etc. But if you want someone wearing blue fixing a Firebat, these boys are it.
Yeah, they are regular like Cobra troops, or like guys, non-combat guys walking around.
They have faces.
Yeah, personnel.
Yeah.
You don't want to be under a truck with a balaclava on. You know?
That's your forward, that's your front facing, that's your battlefield look, Like there would be guys on a base. You just wearing a helmet the whole time just isn't practical at all. Yeah, that's a good pick, actually.
Thanks, man. A lot of troop builders.
Yeah.
And Rob, where are you at, man? Like...
My goodness. Well, speaking of winter dudes, I thought one of the cooler winter looking looks was Quick Kick's look. He's completely in like a cool dark gray, but he still has his cool like red sash on him with his little like throwing stars on it. So I'd love to get a Quick Kick that looks like that. Because he's kind of nicely featured in the movie as well, for in that whole sequence.
He has shoes.
Yes, he has shoes on.
Yeah,
I mean, I love him barefoot, but like it's cool to see him like completely fully clothed. And I think that look as well, it feels a little bit more versatile. You could probably use him outside of wintry conditions too. Yes, it has kind of like a bit of a fluff, like a thing on it. But it feels more versatile. Like you could do more with it. And I really like the dark gray of that outfit. And then my second pick is more of a variation. Would actually be Chuckles, because
you and me both.
In rewatching the movie, I thought that he looked. I don't know why in my mind I thought he looked identical to his figure version, but actually his shirt is different. It's a white shirt with kind of like yellow flowers on it, versus the kind of like bright blue of the figure.
He's also a gorilla.
He's much bigger. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I don't mind if they don't do the stature like that. That's neither here nor there for me. But okay, well, I suppose to be more accurate to the movie, like, and the way that he is portrayed, like he's less of a spy, in the movie, and more of like a brutish man. But I like the color variation of the white shirt with the blue pants, the trousers. I thought that would be kind of cool.
I want a Chuckles that can give a whirly bird a twirl.
And then
And then go on to like pot Cobras with his 45, like from the top of the helicopter. That's incredible,
So
man.
great.
What a
Go for it,
And
Rob.
then-
Sorry, man.
No. So yeah, Chuckles, quick kick in his winter gear, and then my third choice. They have done it before, but I don't think they've done him correctly yet. Would actually be Big Lob. One of the brand new recruits. So as I've just said, they have done him before, but like they did an O-ring version in 2010. The club did a version of him,
Yes.
but he looks more of a football guy, and like his look is to me at least feels he doesn't have the physique that he has in the movie. So we have an O-ring version of him, and then in 2017 they did a modern era version of him. The
Which
club
is
did
actually
another
very cool.
version. It's very good, but once again, he has a better physique. It matches closer to what he looks like in the movie because he's a basketball player. He's a very tall, lanky guy.
Tall guy,
Again, the expression is completely wrong. He has a humor to him in the movie that I think hasn't been captured yet in figure form. And also, he has a feeling of being young to him as well. He feels very young compared to a lot of the other recruits that they kind of are getting on board into GI Joe at the time. And I don't think they've captured that yet in figure form yet. They're kind of like basketball youth attitude and energy that he has in the movie. So although we have had versions of him before, I think a good version that feels more accurate to who he is, kind of captures the spirit of the character, would be better. Because they kind of get the accessories right, kind of like the kind of sash that he has on and stuff like that, but they haven't captured who he is yet in figure form. And I think that would be it's kind of a shame that they haven't done that correctly yet. And he's one of the unique characters from that group of people in the movie that I think, that hasn't been done right yet. So I think a big log would be really nice.
I need to hand in my Joe fan card because for the life of me, I don't know what the story is with that character. Why was he included in an already stuffed roster? Like, do they feel they needed basically like some comedy shtick? Give Tunnel Rats a pal?
I suppose they did. They kind of had to round out the group of people.
Get the sporty kids on board. Like maybe they had no longer a contract with William the Refrigerator Perry. Maybe that had expired by then. I don't know. No, it was probably in full swing. This is 1987.
Yeah.
So it's curious to me. Maybe it was a placeholder. Maybe they had written that as a placeholder for his character. Maybe the contract hadn't gone through. Maybe, I don't know. But basically, Big Lob's inclusion in the movie is such a head scratcher for me. Like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? What's the origin of this figure? What is the motivation of this character for being in G.I. Joe the movie? Because he wasn't in the roster of figures.
Awesome. That is a problem.
Yeah. So, but with Super 7's ability, as we've pointed out, to make slightly lankier, taller figures, give us that.
Yeah, you can. I feel like you can capture who he is better.
He's not a beefcake. I mean, he's got power, but he's got athleticism. He's much taller, much leaner. So let's have a stretched O-ring figure. Why not? How exciting!
Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be really cool.
You guys fell for my trap card really well, which is great. Because Steven, like I must say, I'm quite surprised by Steven's picks, but I had a feeling. I must say, I had a feeling you were going to mention the dudes with the caps, the Cobra personnel, the reason Cobra needs an HR. So I had a feeling you're going to go there. I don't know why.
Wow.
Just had a feeling you were going to go there.
I'm going to tell you why. Magnus Lauglo, our Lego building GI Joe fanatic and friend, he built a Lego Terradrome and made custom minifigures of those sort of blue cap wearing Cobra techs, and that really threw a focus of that on for me anyway onto that figure.
Because like I agree with your choices. I think they're great. And then Rob, I'm glad Rob chose Chuckles because I also want to get Chuckles, and I want Chuckles to be big like Romar, and I want him to be like a gorilla of a figure because I think that's great. We need that version of Chuckles. Again, original Chuckles is very cool, and thanks to GI Joe Cobra and many other great advancements in the art of making the Chuckles action figure, we now have the cool version. So give us the Goofy movie version. Totally, so fully on board for that. And yes, please, Big Lob, it's got to happen, man. Big Lob is great. I love him in the movie. I think he's a great character. I love his lines. He's just a good spirit. And again, the two things that Rob showed us earlier, the sort of Collectors Club O-ring version of him is a very good Franken-Joe, I must say, but also it looks too serious. So I agree with you there, Rob, which means I get to play my sneaky card now. And I was hoping Steve would also say the Arctic versions of some of these guys as well. Anyway, so the first one, and most important to me, is I want Serana, okay, from the movie, but I need it to be like, okay, first prize would be if they did a special like pack of Serana, like a 4-pack or something, where you got Serana.
4 Seranas.
4 Seranas. So you got Serana, then you got her as Heather, right? Okay. And then you got her as, you know, when she's kind of like doesn't have the pink shirt on, when she's just in the swimming, like the bikini version of her, which I actually think they could also save. They could also save for a Baroness Serana bikini swimsuit 2-pack. They can totally do that, and totally should do that, by the way. And
it is a swimsuit. Like, I think it's not a bikini. It's a one piece.
Yeah, sorry, it's a swimsuit. Yeah, I would love that. I think that would be so cool, and it'd be cool if it was like peppered with accessories like Heather's like wig and hat like mixed together as something you could like have in her hand to like sort of almost replay the scene if you wanted to. And then the fourth one, and I mean I'm just throwing this out there because I want to just make sure our bases are covered as far as Serana goes. It'd also be cool to get her. I can never remember her name, but in Computer Complications,
Carol.
Carol, thank you. I'd love to get Carol. As like if they did a Serana disguise pack, that would be fantastic. I'd love that. But if you're sticking to the movie, give me a 2-pack with Serana and Heather. That would be wonderful.
And the hairpiece, you're saying it's just an accessory. It's not something that is practical.
Yeah, so I think it'd be cool if it's like if you got a fully sculpted figure that is Heather, like with the hair and the hat and the whole vibe, but give us like an accessory that's just something that you could hold in Serana's hands and maybe even like
stretch over Thrash's head.
Yes.
Yeah, create the scene.
Yeah, so you can,
come on.
Exactly.
If Chris McLeod were here, he'd say the line. Maybe we need to. Serana, I didn't know it was you.
And man, like how cool would a pack and accessory be? Like, you know, the camera earrings, like as in like a life-size 1-to-1 scale one that you could like have. They wouldn't do that, but it would be a cool thing, and it'd be
You're dreaming big.
that Super 7 could do that as like a merch item, like the camera earrings, just as like a cute little toy chachi kind of earring thing. Anyway, so that's my first pick, and then obviously I mentioned I want a giant Chuckles, and yes, obviously I would like a big Lob. I also, everybody knows this is coming, but I want to see a Mercer. I would love to. I want to see. Hopefully, Super 7 can make a great Mercer. We have thankfully had great Mercers, but I would love to see a Mercer that's just a little bit bulkier than his vintage era representation. And
you want him looking more like the movie,
Mercer.
yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think that would look so cool, and it would be cool if he comes with like a bomb. I think it would be so clever if Super 7 can get the Slaughter's Marauders specifically because I feel like they kind of missed this trick already with Falcon. But it would have been cool if they like released them all with an accessory like that sort of complements to their mission that they do to blow up the Terradrome. So, you know, like one of them came with some cards, one of them came with a with the bomb itself. I would love to see what's his face, Red Dog, with those thingies that he's got, those cudgels that of his. That'd be cool. But yeah, primarily out of the Marauders, I'd love to see a Falcon, a Mercer.
Well, you're lucky you made him.
Yeah, well, you know, but I'd like them to fill in that blank because I feel like we haven't got cartoon accurate Mercer with his like little sign on his chest with the snake with the line through it, but specifically done in that way. I think that would be quite cool. And
yeah, that actually could be quite fun.
And I know I'm cheating a little bit much
You
here,
really
but
are.
I really want a BET, man. Like,
okay.
I think we need a BET. Like, we've got Weather Dominators, we've got like Pyramids of Darkness. No, sorry, that was stupid of me to say. But we've got Weather Dominators, and we got the other one. I can't remember its name now. But we need the BET. And actually, I would like Super 7 to do more of that kind of stuff. Actually, it's more like diorama accessory things. And also to Steven's point earlier with the Royal Guard, I have a feeling that we may still get another variation or two of those Royal Guards, because I think there's still a place for them to do a Royal Guard set with the capes and with those guns.
They come with capes, though, don't they?
Yeah, they do come with capes, but
bigger capes.
I said capes, but actually it's more the gun that I'm focusing on. Like, if I was in Super 7's position, really, I know it might sound scummy to do, but releasing one figure with the melee weapon and then releasing another figure, the same figure in another wave with the ranged weapon, yeah, I think that could be fun, you know.
I think overall the Reaction Plus figures, they are very light on accessories. They're very focused on like the most essential accessories that all the figures come with. So I don't know how hopeful it is to hope that we get kind of like scenario specific accessories, or like small things that they kind of hint towards the scenes, or the wherever they come from. It feels more like something they do in their Ultimates line, where they come with like a ton of accessories. It doesn't feel like it's a feature choice of the Reaction Plus figures, where they kind of give them scene specific accessories, like small pieces of things that kind of suggest to where they come from. Even with their other endeavors, I mean, once again, we got to see some of their other figures in the Reaction Plus. I believe they did feature some of the Universal Monsters ones, as well as we got to see once again the Back to the Future figures. And those are very
good.
Once again, those are cool though, because they obviously are scene specific. You kind of have like Marty with his guitar
and the skateboard, and
so I don't know what the hope is of getting like cool little accessories for Reaction Plus.
So Super 7 has set a precedent of having accessory packs for their Ultimate line. So they've done an Ultimate, an accessory pack for the Turtles, and they're doing one for the GI Joes, or they've done one for the GI Joes. I can't remember.
So you feel maybe that's something they might do for Reaction
Plus? I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful they do that.
Here's a set of guns, and here's a set of these little things that you can add, like the donuts that Torpedo eats in episode 25 of GI Joe.
I think there's definitely. Listen, you hear different things about, toy companies all like trying to figure out stuff, going forward. And I think there's a real market for those kind of diorama sets, especially if they A, make them very easily available, and B, make them like, if they release an accessory set that's got something like 10 accessories in it, and it's the same price as a Reaction Plus Joe, then I think that would do well, because otherwise people are just going to try and find equivalents on places like Temu anyway, or Shein, or AliExpress, or whatever.
Especially with the way maybe that people play with their figures these days, often creating dioramas, kind of
displaying for photography,
having options to display your figures better or more dynamically. Could be quite nice, especially if they are official accessories, I think.
Gents, I have to have a quick sidebar, if I may. Some guests have entered the studio.
Oh, wonderful.
We're going to do the new stuff section a little bit closer to me.
A little bit differently. Okay.
Well, a little bit sooner than usual.
Nice.
Yesterday, Elliot and I went to the toy markets, vintage toy market.
And wonderful.
All right. He got himself, he loves Micro Machines. My goodness. You guys ever seen these?
Yes. I know exactly what that is. It's very cool.
They flip. Whoa. They flip out to reveal a desert scene with
brilliant.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
okay.
Luke is fighting me at this point.
Luke's
But
on
we did
IT.
get some gross stuff, and the most touching story that came out of this particular toy hunt, Elliot runs up to me at one point with the Hot Wheels Sky Striker, and he's like,
Oh,
"Dad,
wow.
this is the one you've been looking for." So I have grown a little toy hunter in my son. It's
Oh,
astounding.
Brilliant.
nice
That's
one,
Hey.
great.
Ellie.
4 years old and sleuthing out exactly what I'm after. But I
Four
bought
pairs
a
of eyes
box.
are better than two when you're hunting.
There
for
we
things.
go. And his eyes are better than mine at this point. I bought some beta Joe vehicles, 6 vehicles, $40. That's like just north of 400 Rand. That's some good going. And these vehicles, like, turn down your sets because it's about to get 90s. Here come the colors. Elliot is crazy
Extreme.
about watercraft at the moment. So we
Mhm.
got another Piranha, one for him.
Oh,
It comes
Piranha
with
is so
almost all of
cool.
its torpedoes, just missing one of the big ones.
Brilliant.
That's
That's
a cool
gorgeous.
boat.
Yep, his very first Piranha and a devilfish.
Oh, another
Ooh.
good choice. Wow, what a great
Very
for like you got all of that stuff
Just
for
missing
under.
the missiles,
Wow.
but it's got
That's the
both
torpedoes.
outboards, both covers, both
Yeah.
black hoses. I couldn't believe it. And when I picked it up, I saw there was something rattling around inside. They were little sort of round balls. I thought they were maybe like polystyrene.
Killhole's gun.
Heavy metals, Mike. No. I thought, Elliot, take it easy, dude. Ow. I thought they were maybe like some kind of flotation device. No, turns out they were reptile eggs from a hatchling. Like there was a whole lot of, and I found one of the corpses, so I can confirm it was not a spider or snake. It was actually a bunch of geckos that hatched out of this. I mean, hardcore, dude. That's
Incredible.
frightening. But what else was rattling in there? Jinx's sword.
No ways. That's
Are you still
so
missing
random.
one sword, Paul?
Yes, I am.
Well,
Not
I've just covered you,
anymore.
boy.
Serendipity.
Always check your vehicles, man.
Hold on. Lucas is just in the command room.
He loves to break me out of the session. Anyway, the fun doesn't stop there. How far are we? I got a mystery vehicle, which will actually be going to one of you fine gentlemen. So I'll hold off showing it in front of the camera. But
whoa,
got a
oh my goodness,
Paralyzer
with all of its missiles, not pictured. Lucas,
you know, Rob loves that tank. He's like, wow, you can.
Well, I mean, it's GI Joe going full Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, 100%.
And thanks to my random rereading of the GI Joe run at various points with Chasing Joe, we're seeing some Paralyzer action. And I'm reminded, like, this was the HISS tank of its day. It was Cobra's frontline vehicle, and it was able to be dropped by the Cobra helicopter. So it had synergy with like an old Cobra design that had been around since like 1985. So incredible. All right. He wants to play with his computer so badly. Anyway, last but not least, Rob, you're gonna love it. We got the Ninja Pile Driver and Cobra Battle Axe. The absolute most Motu inspired GI Joe.
Most fun you can have playing by yourself, huh?
Hey. All right. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna love and leave you. Have a great day. Chat about. Oh yes, Soldier of Fortune. I don't know if you know.
Oh, we found him. We found him.
More interestingly, the time machine.
Oh, the DeLorean time machine. Very cool.
One for Monster Truck.
Monster Truck. That is amazing.
Anyway, the fun's about to begin at the GI Joe Jabba household. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great podcast, boys, for the rest of your show. Love you long time. Bye.
Love you long time. Bye, Steve.
Have fun, Steven.
He's like, look at my other cool toys. Please show them.
I don't know what
everybody.
just happened to my screen.
I can remove you.
We can.
Love you long time, everybody. See you next week.
Cool. Oh, shame, man. So like, that's Steve. He's been tapped into. I must say he was in here for like almost 60 minutes, so that's pretty
He
amazing.
was in there for a good amount of time, and I mean, I think he did mention last time having. Did he say on air that he had computer problems? I can't remember.
Yes, been having some.
So
Stephen
things. Still doesn't have his computer completely perfectly set up yet. So he was actually streaming today from his lounge because he's managed to connect his laptop, his screenless laptop, to his TV. So now he can actually. He has a gigantic screen, I imagine, depending on how big his TV is. But unfortunately, it's a very public space, or at least a public space within a household, within your familial
area.
Yes. So I'm amazed. Yeah, we got away with an hour with no. I say interruptions, but it's always cute when they kind of come on. I love the kids. Obviously, it is Stephen. It gets very disruptive for his thought processes. I imagine.
I just love it, but I personally love it because I know in like 10 years' time we're going to look back on some of these episodes with these kids, and
absolutely,
and we're going to like
the ways of like just documenting little random moments of them,
Yeah. So, so there's two things. There's one more thing that I wanted to mention just quickly before we get like all crazy. I want to see more like I'm excited to see what Super 7 does. I know there's a lot of like stuff happening with the toy world, so I think it would be great if the O-ring and 3/4-inch toy makers could take one like really important piece of like not advice from us, but like people are asking for diorama stuff. You're just not hearing it. Because what's happening is you go onto Insta, you go onto YouTube, you go onto various platforms, and you're seeing people use props and things that they're buying from other places or reappropriating from things like Playmobil. And I feel like that's a market that's not being tapped properly. And I think there's way too much focus on XYZ military-looking man when there should be a lot more focus on diorama stuff as well. Because a lot
creating spaces for your figures to inhabit. Yeah,
and creating props for figures to use as well. I think that's missing. That's really, really missing in the toy market right now. That's just at least how I'm taking the temperature of things right now. And then the other thing that I want to mention, and just coming back to JoeFest again, I think like there's so much great stuff that we saw at JoeFest. The Crucible figures. I kept wanting to say Savage Crucible.
I think it is Savage Crucible.
I think it is Savage. Like I love that stuff. I love that they're doing the whole Frank Frazetta thing. I'm loving those dinosaur figures that are coming from the Cyberzoic dudes. I'm loving what Skeletron are doing with Marauder there. It's looking really, really amazing. And of course, I mean that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's the monsters by, there's those
Operation Monster Force. That's by the Chicken. It's Chicken Fried Toys, isn't it?
Chicken Fried Toys,
and they do Eagle Force as well.
Yeah, who I think have got a damn good strategy with regards to releasing the military figures that they've had, because they kind of got the come for the military dudes, stay for the monsters kind of appeal. So that's like that's cool because the sale of that stuff I think is helping the more creative stuff work out. It was also awesome to see those animals of the kingdom, those animal warriors or whatever's of the kingdom. I can never remember the name properly for that line, but those toys are really badass. I really like them a lot. I'm not normally into like animal warrior things, but like seeing that stuff is great. Obviously, we have 4 horsemen. I keep thinking I saw 4 horsemen at the JoeFest, but we didn't. Hey,
no, they were there.
No, yeah, they were there.
We saw them specifically. I mean, they're listed on the JoeFest.
Yeah, they weren't like people didn't feature them.
But yeah, no one really featured them. At least in the walkthroughs, the ice one, probably the one that you saw as well.
And and then of course there's that diorama, those guys that are building those like sort of modular diorama sets. Reconnect. I saw Chris McLeod buy something called Prime. He was like by that stand, and there was a lot of interesting figures going on there. And then of course we have Ramen Toys with their mask adjacent figures. which Celia actually pointed out when she saw the I think it's called the Shark or the Mantis, which is the Porsche that transforms into the jet or something that's there. It's like
Yes.
it's a Porsche 928 that transforms into, like, I think is it a submarine? I'm not like I keep forgetting with Mask, like
I don't think I
get
saw.
confused. Anyway, that like jumped out and she's like, "Oh my word, you're probably into that." And I'm like, "Actually, yeah, I am into that. That's very cool."
Kind of into that.
The point that I'm trying to get here, and I'm sure this is the like most difficult challenge, and this is kind of like Steve kind of touched on this. There's so much stuff happening in this toy world of ours that we do not know about. You know, not just as South Africans, but as fans in general. And it's because this stuff is not easy to find, to purchase. It's not like these guys, like their stuff is just not obvious. You know, you get a little bit of it. You can find some of it on BBT. It's like Hidden Fortress. I shit you not, listeners and viewers. I've been very excited about the Hidden Fortress, the ninja stuff. You know, the Legends of the Hidden Fortress, or I can't even remember. Like I'm having complete brain farts on air now. If I'd known they were on BBTS like what 7 months ago, I would have bought them. And now when I'm looking at them, I'm like, all the stuff that I want from that line is like sold out and out of production already. And like that kind of thing's frustrating. So yes, these guys have a great presence on Instagram to some degree and a great presence on Facebook to some degree. Yes, these social media platforms relate to our age and demographics, so they do work. But guys, start linking to us being able to buy your stuff, because it is actually getting quite silly. Like, I mean, if I like those dinosaur things, I mean, I'm not going to buy the whole wave, but I'd love to get 2 or 3 of them in my life, you know, because I think they're so cool. And this is not just for me. I think this is just for everybody. I think a lot of people need to see this stuff. I can tell you now, there's a bunch of people in South Africa that would lose their minds if they saw that Cyberzoic stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And the problem is they're not going to watch a JoeFest walkthrough video because they're Dino Rider people. They're people that have no actual deep interest in something like GI Joe or military toys in general.
I think if it's not easily discovered or discoverable, you will kind of struggle to find this sort of stuff.
And again,
find it too easily.
And again, I know discoverability is not an easy thing. It's easy for a person like me on a podcast to say, "Oh, guys, you know, you just have to make your stuff like more discoverable, more like, you know, obvious, and you know, all that stuff." I know that that's not easy. You know, I run a business here in South Africa. We import Gundam stuff. We sell Gundam kits. We still run into people that are like, "Oh my god, I didn't know you guys existed." You know,
what's a Gundam?
And we work quite hard to get our signal out there. You know, and so. Like, I know it's not an easy thing to do, but I think that's a great place to invest. It's like getting your signal out there. And a good example of somebody who I think does it incredibly well is actually Valaverse, because, you know, you got Bobby Vala talking about a lot of cool stuff. You know, his experience, his you know, motivations behind certain toys, or his thinking, or his opinion on stuff. You know, guys, you guys make toys. You guys have opinions on stuff. Start finding budget and making that kind of thing happen, and make you know, get yourselves in front of us. We want to see you. You know, we want to see your stuff. We want to see your creations.
Well, I mean, they're obviously hitting the market that matters the most of the time, which is the American market. I mean, being based in America does help them hugely. And also, I mean, if you imagine this is all the stuff we're seeing from the States, like what stuff is there out in like Europe, in the rest of the world, that people are making these sorts of things, man. We're not seeing them so much.
Mr. Hoff was showing me these beautiful Batman figures that he had acquired, and they're made in Europe, and they, in my opinion, better than anything Hot Toys has done with that line. So,
wow,
you heard me say it here, Ronald.
Those fighting words. But yeah, I think they obviously, they do their best, but they need to do it better so that the people across the world are able to kind of like find these amazing indie company toys and get them, because there really is so much out there that I never knew existed. I think of the ones that I saw, yes, I recognize Chicken Fried Toys, Super 7. I mean, but they're fairly major. They're not indie. Obviously, Legends of Hidden Force. I recognize Operation Recall,
Of course.
Eagle Force. But there was like, I think there was something called Strike Force Alpha, I think, which I didn't recognize. Something called, I think it was Impact Toys or something to that effect. Obviously Reconnect, but they themselves said they were quite new to the game now.
So they like
there was also Assault Force or Patriot Force or something like that. They were fighting very realistic characters from the Middle East. I don't know.
That's the whole vibe. Yeah, there's people that are into that.
That's certainly a vibe. That's very, very hitting the realism very well. But there's just so much stuff. And if you imagine, that's only the Joe adjacent stuff as well. You know, like, yes, they do produce a lot of monster stuff, animal stuff, but I'm sure there's a lot more out there. The one thing I do find that kind of does link all these things a lot of the time is that, I suppose, because they are so small, they are indie companies, they're aiming at the people that they know would buy them, but they all do feel very much collector focused rather than toy focused.
Yeah.
You know, like I suppose because they can't kind of like just market it to everybody, they need to know that there is
you market to your demographic,
to your demographic. But there's not enough, I don't know, like good toys for kids. I'm not just saying like educational toys, but like
no, we're never saying that.
Never. But JoJo's were kids' toys, you know, in the 80s and 90s. Like those were toys made for kids, but that we can still appreciate now as adults. And there's lots of people that produce collectibles for us now, but not enough stuff for kids, I think. And I hope there's
also don't forget Rage and Spoon. Sorry, just before I
Rage and Spoon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something I wish that, or maybe they are out there, but they're just very bad at marketing themselves, even worse than these guys that aim for collectors market. But I do hope that there are indie guys making toys for kids. You know, kind of really encouraging the next generation to get out there and play with toys.
Well, that's the thing, right? And I feel you on that. I mean, so with Gunplay SA, which is my Gundam business here with my buddy here in South Africa, we have these things where we get together and we build model kits and whatever. And guys are starting to bring their kids to these events, and these kids are building model kits, and you know, like these model kits, Gundam model kits by model kit standards are not complicated, but I've never seen a model kit in my life. That's kind of a complicated thing. And these little dudes, I'm talking like between 7 and 11 years old, are nailing these things. They're building them well. This one little guy, I mean, there's a little one there, he's like 5 years old. I mean, he's built full on, you know, HG kits, you know, from Gundam.
No.
He knows what he's doing, right? And he's a big, you know, this little guy is a big fan of like Transformers toys. And one of the toy lines that we actually bring in, that we get, is from a brand called 52 Toys, which are these like kind of like blocks that turn into like cool cyber animals and things like that. And some of them can combine. It reminds me a lot of these sort of energy behind Transformers in sort of the late 80s, like with them doing all these like interesting things. And then kind of again with Transformers in the early 2000s, we were getting early to mid 2000s, we were getting these cool, interesting Transformers. Now Hasbro, for lack of a better word, is pumping out a lot of shit and a lot of repaints, quite frankly. And then they're treating their children's market like idiots, to be quite frank with you.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this 5-year-old Transformer Beast Box, no manual, as you know, and he's rocking it. He's got cool poses going on with his toys, and these things are about as complicated, in my opinion, as Transformers Studio Series which is very much close to what would we call leader class kind of thing. And the kids can do that. Their toy age is strong. You just got to put that in front of them and stop treating them like idiots. And I think that's the thing. If independent toy companies can start finding that gap to also make this stuff kind of, I know that you're appealing to a collector demographic, to that kind of group as well. But if you can find sort of ways to get kids into it adjacent to what you're doing, as in maybe just make it, I don't know, like it might even be something as stupid as the way that you do your packaging to appeal to a kid as well. You know, you could, like Rob was saying, help foster a future market. Because there's a lot of talk about people saying, oh, kids are only into technology. It's like, no, kids have a choice. They can either choose between really shitty toys that a lot of their parents and relatives are throwing at them because, you know, it's 5 POA crap, it's shit that transforms itself, it's cute versions of Transformers characters that in robot mode can barely bend arms and legs. There's a lot of crap out there, you know. They're having that stuff to choose, or devices. And devices are winning because compared to the shit they're being given, and I'm sorry, I know I'm very like passionate when I'm saying I'm swearing a lot, but compared to that crap, the tablets do win, you know. And
yeah, no, for sure. Like they just take kids seriously when you give them toys. I don't know
exactly,
why.
stop
Back in
treating
the
children
80s
like
and
children.
90s, they took kids seriously. You know.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did. I mean, yes, they did produce toys that were obviously very dumbed down. But like companies like Hasbro took kids seriously back then. Mattel.
Yeah, and Kenner and all those guys.
But
Kids
for
got
some reason
Predator
they
toys.
don't anymore. Yeah, they
We
got
got
Predator toys.
Terminator,
They got Terminator
Predator,
2
Robocop.
toys. I mean, like it's wild to think that these very much adult, you know, like movies and franchises got toys for kids.
Yep.
It
And
still blows my mind.
that is because it gave you as a kid, little brother, it gave you a chance to live in Big Brother's world. You know, in your big brother or your older friends or your older family members' world. Like, oh wow, I have Terminator toys. You're not allowed to watch the movie, but you can go up to him and be like, I got an Arnold Schwarzenegger, I got a Terminator toy.
I
And then,
like stuff like you do too, you know, and it gives them something to look forward to actually enjoy and watch later on as well.
Exactly.
It kind of points of interest. And I think definitely if the indie companies that they are able to is to produce lines that are adjacent to the toys they're making now, but are more accessible to kids to play with, I think.
Yeah.
Because then you're fostering not just the collector's market now, an aging market, sorry to say, but the future as well. So you're kind of like safeguarding your business for the future. So in 10, 20 years' time, if you're still producing these toys, if your company's bigger, you will always have this built-in customer base, essentially.
Totally. And also like, I know this is complete divergence now on our topic, but also you're keeping certain manufacturing standards and process in the mainstream. So if somebody wants to make a toy line or whatever, it's not difficult for them. They don't have to now come up with the tooling and the engineering because a lot of that exists already, you know, or a lot of engineering exists already to make the tooling that is needed for what they want to make. You know, like those Beast Box figures from 52, for example. I mean, that technology and that kind of engineering thinking behind it, that's always been here for toys. You know, we've seen it with Diaclone, you see it with Transformers, you see it with Microman, you see it with tons of Japanese or Asian figures that I've seen in my life. Beast Box is just carrying on that tradition of that, where you're seeing that quality come through. And also, just to reference, also Bobby Valor again on Valaverse, you know, he did a video the one time when he was walking through a toy store. Well, not a toy store, it was like a Target and a Walmart, and he goes to different stores. And one of the things that he points out is like, look at what these companies are doing in the kids space. And now I'm referring to the cool stuff, you know, because I know that I was, you know, earlier it sounded like I was bashing all kids' toys, and I'm not. There's a whole range of kids' toys and stuff made specifically for kids that is really, really, really awesome and very clever and very you know, they got a lot of ingenuity and craftsmanship in their design. But from my point of view, I feel like a lot of that stuff is designed to have a very short lifespan in the mind of a child. So a lot of those brands aren't what I would call legacy brands, or won't become legacy brands, but maybe the tooling and again the manufacturing process and whatever, those will become legacy products for the businesses. But it's just interesting to like see some of the stuff that's out there for kids, and then see what companies like Hasbro think kids want. Because I agree with at least I hope I'm remembering this correctly, but in his videos, he was showing what Hasbro is doing for these people. And again, I'm not trying to start flame wars or anything like that. I'm not trying to say, oh my God, Hasbro sucks. But if you look at what Hasbro is producing for kids and you look at what Hasbro's competitors are producing for kids, Hasbro's producing stuff for, I think, 1-year-olds kind of thing. Whereas, 1-year-olds that are wearing safety pads and their parents have got like 24-hour surveillance on them with an armed entourage. Kind of that's what it feels like. That feels like Hasbro's customer. Whereas these other people who are making things like Squishimals and all of that kind of stuff, they seem to like be making kids for the adventurous spirit inside kids. And I mean, they're making toys for kids who have that adventurous spirit in them. And again, Mattel, I feel, kind of does the same thing with their like monster trucks and all that stuff. We could go on forever, but I think it's just this is a lot of excitement from something like JoeFest. And I was primarily one of my favorite things to do in the videos as we like walking out the door now, Rob. One of my favorite things to do in the videos is try and see like people that we've met. Like, so it was cool seeing guys like Brian Lauer.
A lot of people.
It was cool seeing Ken, from Toy Connections, with his line, with the Delta 17 line, and also him, walking around and being interested in toys. It was cool to see. I saw Jason Merrill's. I think I saw Jason Merrill. It was kind of like he was like a blur, but I did see his kid. And it was cool to see Chris McLeod. He was in the background. It's just cool to see all these people that we know and that we've met.
And obviously Larry Harmer.
We've had on the show. Larry Harmer.
I saw him in some of the walkthroughs.
I was looking for Hans and I was looking for Bart.
I was actually the same. I didn't see them, at least in the 2 videos that I watched.
Yeah, they were like using super ninjistics. They were like very, and Bart is not like easy to miss.
I know he was like such a tall guy.
Yeah, so that was my thing, and I did feel a bit of FOMO, to be fair.
Oh no, absolutely. Like it was huge. Like I was very emotional. Like it was wild looking through and just imagining being there with all of these people. So I enjoyed the experience of getting ready for this episode, but I also kind of like dreaded doing it because I was like, I knew this would kind of like get to me.
Yeah, which brings me to, I think, so maybe we're going to put this out to the listeners and viewers and see what you guys think. Our visas expire in 2028. And so I think we need to make a plan to go to JoeFest before they expire. Rob and I have spoken about this off air. As a trio, we've spoken about going back to going to a JoeFest, coming back to America. We'd love to do it. The reality is that we, with all of our endeavors and everything that we do here, we do not make enough disposable income to be able to save for a trip like that very easily.
Unfortunately, that is one of the things that hasn't changed since our 2018 experience. We really are just little guys making our way through life, kind of like making ends meet and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so we all need to find some kind of means to do so. And obviously we're open to suggestions in the comments. I mean, we did a crowdfund for the last one. I think it went really well. We were like blown away by people's just
the
generosity and just support. It was just amazing. But obviously
we want to explore options and kind of like see how can we make this easier for ourselves to kind of make that happen again. Because
I mean, listen, running something like a crowdfund would be great. It's definitely a more direct approach.
It wasn't the easiest thing to do. I mean, I know it was our first time doing something like that.
Honestly, I think it's more a case of we're too scared to do it because we feel like we would be taking advantage of people. So I think that's where our mindset's at. If you guys think we're being stupid, tell us in the comments. Tell us, if you think we should do something like a crowdfund again, or what kind of ideas, whatever you guys have, and let's try to figure it out, and let's try to get GI Joburg
figure it out together.
Back to JoeFest.
We're just putting it out into the universe. It is something that we are very passionate about wanting to do. We definitely want to come to a JoeFest, especially before 2028, because once that rolls around, then we have to go through the entire process of
reapplying
visas again.
And with the way the world is right now, and with the way the world is right now, we might not be able to get a visa. There's also that.
You never know.
Because of things that are happening in the news. So that said, it would be awesome to run into people. Also, to everybody who I've seen on Instagram wearing GI Joburg shirts, thank you. You know who
Thank
you
you.
are. We really appreciate it. We see you. Thank you for taking us to the show in spirit. That really meant a lot to me and
No, it
to
really
the other
did.
guys.
And
That
if
was
you want to take us not just to the show itself, but if you want to take us other places,
everywhere. Check out our merch.
hell yeah, find us on Teespring. That's where all our shirts are. I believe there are links at the below our videos
Yeah,
on
for the
YouTube.
YouTube
If you're on
stuff.
YouTube as well, there should be links down here somewhere just showing up saying, "Hey, check out this cool merch from GI Joe."
But if you want to,
GI Joe inspired merch.
and then we have our Patreon as well, which you can check out. So if you want to, you can take a screenshot of this to find our Patreon. And if you take a screenshot of our shirts, you should see a link to our Teespring store. So we got
Hell
our
yeah.
merch on there, and you can get cool stuff like this guy, which is our, 8-bit
That's our bread
GI
and butter.
Joe, GI Joburg strut, which is cool. This kind of stuff helps. And also, just a huge shout out to the Patreons, the people we affectionately call the Berg Force. In fact, everybody that watches and enjoys GI Joe content
You're all part of the
on
Berg Force.
GI Joburg, you're all part of the Berg Force.
The
Nearly said
Borg Force.
the Borg Force, Berg Force. So, guys, thank you very much to these beautiful people that support us. And also, just want to do a small shout out to guys like Hans who have their own Patreons as well. If you guys want to check that out too, I believe very much in a community that supports a community. So check out his Patreon as well. He's a great artist and he's a great character. So go check him out. And yeah, thank you so much for getting this far and enjoying our modest little
Yeah,
podcast.
I was thinking about JoeFest. Our thoughts about
Yeah.
JoeFest, the toys that we hope to see from Super 7 in the future, if they do a future cartoon
Wave.
movie wave. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Which,
And yeah, thank you. 383, that was us talking about GI Joe. Join us in 384. We will probably still be talking about GI Joe. We've done it
Yes.
383 times up to this point to plus change. So
And just a reminder, people who do follow the Patreon or YouTube channel membership do get these much earlier. Sometimes you guys get them as we finish airing them, pretty much.
Early access,
And
ad-free.
And ad-free. So you can watch them. You get an ad-free link to watch them without pesky ads, which is great, for those of you who are not on premium. And yeah, so that's one of the small things. Steve and I both individually do vlogs for the channel, and occasionally we do try to find other interesting ways to make it cool. But right now, you're just supporting our awesome,
keeping the lights on,
and our love for the hobby, both yours and ours. So cool.
Yeah,
sweet. Okay, that's it. Rob, do you want to grab something to slam into the camera?
No.
I'm going to grab this Super 7 Snake Eyes.
Oh, I see everything's so far away from me.
Yeah, okay, and then I'll just do this one for us.
Grab my hand.
Okay, guys, be awesome. Play with your toys. We hope you all got home safely from JoeFest. We want to hear your JoeFest memories in the comments, so please share them with us. And yes, yeah, Rob's got the special edition Invisible Jinx. Okay, cool. Until the next one, guys. Yo, Joe. Berg. He just don't make sounds. Why is he humping the